Multi-use bin. Does that mean it can be used for other things besides being a bin? The A6 at Garstang. Usually it takes a very long time to cross this road. G'day YouTubers, and you join me on my permitted daily exercise. They don't put a time frame on it. I was wrong, it's not an hour. They say a reasonable length of time, but Michael Gove, he's now said a reasonable amount of time, around about an hour. So there you go. Just a quick point about doing these walking videos. My last one was generally widely well received, but 1 or 50 have raised concerns about my being out. I reiterate, you are allowed to go out for one exercise session a day, which is what I'm doing. I'm walking quite briskly, but some have objected to that. It would appear that going for a walk is fine, but filming while you're doing it is a no-no. In fact, a couple of viewers, one called me an ignorant, selfish and the other claimed that I was endangering the lives of men, women and children. As you can see though, there's hardly anyone around. There's people out exercising, in this case on a push bike there. The government allows cycling, jogging and walking. Just take a quick detour through this park. Whenever I go shopping, which is what I'm going to do as well, this park is normally, quite busy with parents and children doing what parents and children do. Yeah, I should reiterate on the guidelines and what I'm doing right now. As you've seen, there's hardly anyone around. I'm not coming into contact with any object except in a supermarket, and that's strictly controlled. I don't have the luxury of like a garden that I could jog around or do something in. I, like all the other boaters, live in a tin shed basically. And when you remove things like the bedroom and the bathroom and the engine room, in Aslan's case, you're left with a kitchen and a lounge, which is about, I worked out, was 25 feet long, 6 feet wide and about 6'5" high, and that is the space. So whilst we're allowed to go out for an hour or so for an approved form of exercise, I'm going to continue to do so. The fact that I'm filming it is irrelevant. Right, just got some shopping. Now on my last walkabout video, a few suggested that I'd actually lied about going shopping in order to have an excuse to do some filming. Right, back to the boat, but I'd like to end this video with a little tale. There's this guy, he's opened a fish shop, or a fishmongers as we call them in Britain, or used to. And it's a fantastic shop, and he's had this sign made up above the window, and it says fresh fish sold here. And his mate comes along to the opening day, sees the sign, and he says, "My, that's a mighty fine sign, but I'm a bit confused. Why does it say fresh fish sold here? You don't need the sold bit. Obviously you're not giving it away, so why not just have fresh fish here? And his mate looks at the sign and says, you know what, you're right, I'll get it changed. So sure enough, a week later the new sign's up and the mate comes along and he says, oh yeah, that's much better, fresh fish here. But I'm still a bit confused. Why does it say fresh fish here? You know, after all, you're not selling it somewhere else down the road, you're selling it here, so why doesn't it just say fresh fish? And his friend, the shopkeeper, looks at it and says, you know what, you're right, I'll get it changed. Sure enough, again, a week later, new sign's up and it just says fresh fish. And the mate comes along to have a look and he says, yep, that's much better. But I've been thinking, why have fresh fish? Why not just say fish? Obviously it's not rotten fish, you know, it's fresh fish. So just change the sign to fish. And a week later, sure enough, the new sign's up there and it just says fish. And the friend comes along and says, why say fish? You can smell the place from a f***ing mile off.